I administered my colleague's EpiPen during an allergic reaction, and now I'm being charged with assault with a deadly weapon. The detective read me my rights at my desk at 2:47 on a Wednesday afternoon, while my entire department watched through the glass walls of my office. Daniel Reeves, you're under arrest for assault with a deadly weapon and reckless endangerment. My hands were still typing an email when he said it. I looked up at Detective Lawrence Kimball standing over me, with another officer behind him, both wearing expressions that suggested I was something dangerous they'd finally cornered. What are you talking about? I asked. Kimball pulled out handcuffs. You administered epinephrine to Allison Porter without medical authorization on September 14th. She's filed criminal charges. You need to come with us. My stomach dropped. September 14th was 3 weeks ago. The day Allison collapsed during the company luncheon, her throat swelling shut, her face turning purple. The day I'd grabbed her EpiPen from her purse and injected it into her thigh because she couldn't breathe and was dying in front of 30 people. The day I'd saved her life. Now she was saying I'd assaulted her with a deadly weapon. Kimball wasn't interested in explanations. He cuffed me at my desk while my coworker stared. My boss, Philip Grantham, stepped out of his office looking confused and horrified. Daniel, what's happening? I told him I didn't know, that this was a mistake. Kimball led me through the office in handcuffs past people I'd worked with for 6 years. Rachel from accounting had her hand over her mouth. Thomas from IT was filming on his phone. By the time we reached the elevator, I could hear whispers spreading like fire through dried grass. The police station was cold and fluorescent and smelled like industrial cleaner and old coffee. They processed me like I was a criminal, fingerprints and mugshots in a holding cell where I sat for 4 hours before anyone told me what was actually happening. When they finally brought me to an interrogation room, Kimball sat across from me with a file folder. Allison Porter claims you attacked her during a company event, stabbed her in the leg with a needle containing a substance you knew she was allergic to. She's provided medical documentation showing the injection caused cardiac complications requiring hospitalization. She's also provided witness statements confirming you grabbed her and held her down while injecting her against her will. I felt my face go hot. That's completely insane. Allison has a severe shellfish allergy. Someone served shrimp at the luncheon, and she went into anaphylactic shock. I used her own EpiPen to save her life. She couldn't breathe. She was turning blue. There were 30 witnesses who saw the whole thing. Kimball opened the folder and slid a document across the table. It was a sworn statement from Allison claiming I deliberately caused her allergic reaction by forcing her to eat shrimp, then injected her with epinephrine, knowing she had a heart condition that made the medication dangerous. She stated I'd acted with malicious intent, that she'd told me repeatedly to stop, that I'd ignored her protests and assaulted her. The statement was notarized and signed in her careful handwriting. I read it twice, unable to process what I was seeing. This is completely false. Every single word. Why would she lie about this? Kimball leaned back in his chair. You tell me. Why would a woman accuse someone of assault if it didn't happen? I told him I had no idea, but the truth was documented by dozens of people. Kimball said witnesses could be unreliable and that Allison's medical records showed she'd suffered cardiac complications from the epinephrine injection. They held me for 18 hours before setting bail at $50,000. My brother posted it at 9 the next morning and drove me home in silence. Justin didn't ask questions until we were inside my apartment. Then he turned to me with his arms crossed. What the hell actually happened, Daniel? I told him everything. The company luncheon at the Riverside Hotel ballroom, celebrating the successful launch of our new software platform, catered lunch with a seafood option nobody had flagged as containing shellfish. Allison taking a bite of what she thought was chicken, then grabbing her throat 30 seconds later. Her eyes going wide with panic, her lips swelling, her voice coming out in a rasp, saying she couldn't breathe. Me recognizing anaphylaxis from first aid training. Me asking if she had an EpiPen, her nodding and pointing to her purse on the table. Me finding the EpiPen and reading the instructions quickly while someone called 911. Me pulling off the safety cap and jamming the device into her thigh through her skirt, exactly as the instructions showed. The click and hiss of the injection. Allison gasping and her throat opening enough to pull in air. The paramedics arriving 6 minutes later and taking over. Allison being rushed to the hospital. Everyone thanking me for acting fast. Philip telling me I'd saved her life. Justin listened with growing disbelief. So you did exactly what you were supposed to do, and now she's saying you assaulted her? I showed him the police report and criminal complaint. Justin read through it, his expression darkening. This is prosecutorial malpractice. No DA in their right mind would bring these charges, but the charges were real, and I had an arraignment scheduled for Monday morning. And what happened next changed everything. To see the full story, click the link below or go on my channel.